with my
So good to have you join us here on Global Morning. As always, we do not take for granted the time that you spend with us here. It's a wonderful Thursday, one that will ultimately turn out to be eventful, the reasons for which you will find out in the course of the show today. I am Uyag Mofwebe saying a very good morning to you. I am Jumai Manson, who will not be at the Supreme Court this morning. Is on the program, but we will discuss some of those issues as we make progress. Jumai, good morning. It's a delight to see you.
Good morning, Uyagbomofuigwe. It's always a delight to see you. How are you doing today?
Good, good.
Well done. And it's great to be here. It's a beautiful Thursday morning. Uji already stated that. And yes, I am Jumai Manson, and it's great to be here. It's a beautiful day. The weather is fantastic. This is usually the weather that broadcasters are usually dread because it affects our voice and all.
Especially giving those who count on us,
yes,
to make them proud.
Very important.
So we obviously cannot drop the bar now.
Exactly, exactly.
But again, it's quite a loaded show today, I must tell you. Issues around insecurity. Our country basically is not in a good place regarding insecurity. It's pretty much no longer news as it stands today.
Yes.
We'll look at what are the alternatives, what are the smart moves we're making to win this war. I saw a post by a long-standing lawyer on Facebook yesterday, posted a video where some criminal elements, apparently bandits as we call them,
Yes.
were flogging some of their captives in the bush. And the guy said, look, you don't have to wait for a formal pronouncement. Nigeria is at war. You've got to cancel that useless trip that you already planned. Now, my understanding from that is you've got to count the cost of traveling by road. That's what he was saying. No matter how important you think that trip is, it is not useless because it's your life on the line,
Yes,
potentially.
that is it.
You see, these are not things you look at from a place of sentiment or, some sort of bias. It has to be on the basis of what has been the trajectory. It's interesting how that people are going to write jam, for example, they don't get to their destination because they got kidnapped. People are already mobilized for National Youth Service, a call to serve their fatherland. They can't get to camp. Sometimes it's just within the same state, sometimes it's within the neighboring states. From Benin to Lagos, because you have an interview by 9 the next morning.
I had that experience.
And you will show up early, show up like you live in Lagos, because the night bus will get off from Benin by midnight. By 3 a.m., max by 4 a.m., you're already seated in Lagos, freshen up and stuff. By 8 o'clock, you're already available for the interview. It was normal. In most cases, the same person returns to Benin the same day. So by dinner time, they're already home all fresh. That was when people could confidently tell you that traveling at night was fun because the roads were pretty much deserted, so to say, and things like that. But today, it's not a question of whether you enjoy driving at night or traveling.
Or the adventure.
Exactly. So it's not even about those now.
No.
It's now about, do you want to stay alive or not?
Exactly, and that's food for thought for individuals who cannot afford to fly. Right. Definitely go by air and all of that. A big consideration has to be thought through, especially when it comes to family members. Especially when you have these reunions that are so important. You have to really think it through. Like you mentioned, do you really want to stay alive or not? And these individuals, these miscreants, like I call them, are not smiling. They are not. Do you saw what happened to that guy in Jos, the one that was just traveling from Kaduna to Jos, and he was apprehended, and they were actually beating him, and all of this. And we see just individuals that jam from Benue to one of our colleagues that's from Benue said it's not even far, it's like 45 minutes, and then the next thing you know, they are being kidnapped. It's just unfortunate that this is where we are. It has gotten to this stage that it's not safe anymore. Not just on the roads, but within. You'll be shocked that a lot of things happen. Someone says, do you know that people are being kidnapped in their homes sometimes? When it comes to this, it's as bad as that. It has gotten to that point where I don't know, like I don't know how to put it, not to scare anyone, but this is where it is now, and it's not looking good at all.
It's not looking good. But then again, we understand several recommendations have been made. Conversations have heightened in the last couple of months, particularly starting from last year, about the need to now evolve a state policing system. But then, of course, long before now, for many years, what we heard was, no, governments will abuse it, governments will exploit it for their selfish interests, especially during the electioneering period and things like that. But we now have to count the costs. We now have to do pros and cons sort of, scaling to know what advantage do we stand to derive from it, and to what extent does it put us at a disadvantage, if any? We must look at all of those options, or we must now look beyond a government, because one administration will leave for another administration.
And the same challenges,
right?
Remember.
So that vicious cycle has to be broken.
Yes,
and then we now have to ask ourselves, how do we find a definitive solution to all of these problems? For example, we understand most of these issues also have been addressed by the police, not even the armed forces. But because of how difficult the times have been for our country for well over 15, 16 years, you now realize that there is some sort of overlap, for want of better words, in terms of the roles that the police and the armed forces should be playing. Because as it stands right now, it's not a question of we just want a solution. We just want an end to all of this. We don't care who does what anymore. So it's not so much about sticking with the mandate stricto sensu as it is about let's put in all we have, even if it means adding Boys Brigade and Boy Scouts and what have you. Because that's where we are right now. But you see, we've got to have a structure in place to deal with all of this. And it's also interesting and very instructive that President Bola Tinubu just this week has said that, look, they are, insinuating apparently from an interaction that is being insecurity is being used against his government, is being used as a front to push him out of government. And he says, no way, I'm putting my foot down. I go nowhere. We're going to see the end of this. That for me is suggestive of the theory that has been here for a long time, that there are people who are benefiting off of the insecurity that Nigeria has been having for a long time. And I dare say that the president knows those people, the DSS knows those people, the armed forces know those people. You see, any attempt to think otherwise is at best Nigerians and indeed the government shooting itself in the foot, because the president gets briefing on a daily basis, sometimes multiple times.
Yes, he does.
Most of them classified, even at the state level. A government knows those who are behind criminality of any kind, whether you call it kidnapping, courtesan, armed robbery spree. The governor knows those. But at that point in time, it's not so much about whether the governor knows or not. It's about whether the governor has the will to deal with it. Because most times in Nigeria, and indeed across Africa, what we see is how that is not so much about what is wrong and they need to deal with it. So when something is wrong, I know, yes, we should deal with it. The first thing you ask is, who is behind it? They say it's Jomai, bring her here, kill her. They say, he's our guy, we have to find a way around it.
So why would they kill her? Why can't they kill?
No, we're just saying. Yeah, exactly. So those were metaphors. I'm only saying that we have to look beyond the personality behind and ask ourselves, to what extent does this damage our country? Do you mind thought for a second, if you were somewhere in Europe or Asia, the Middle East, or somewhere in a corner in North America, and you wanted to come invest in Africa, and somewhere in your head you felt, well, maybe Nigeria is the best place to get started out. Then you realize that there has been this spate of killings over time. There's this growing sense of trepidation. There's insecurity that is increasing on a daily basis. You would naturally rethink that decision, right? So it gives you an idea, the number of people, individuals and entities that would have had a second thoughts about their intention to come invest here. That's even on the economic front. How about image? The fear that I don't feel safe in that country. Because the impression people have outside of here is There is nowhere safe in Nigeria.
Yes.
So there are people outside of Africa or even within those continents who do not even think that Juma and we are on live television this morning, and they're hosting a 3-hour program.
Exactly. And it's just unfortunate that this is where we found ourselves at the moment. And like you mentioned before, a lot needs to be done. You know, these high-ranking individuals who actually can notify or they understand who these individuals are who are causing all of these issues when it comes to insecurity, having the guts to come out and say, bring them here, why are you doing this? Either you stop, or having that bold front to come out. But I think there's a lot to it. I think it's a win-win situation in that era. It's just me saying that, like you said, everyone knows what they're doing. Someone will say everyone knows what they know who they are. But bringing them out and listing out and calling out their names, I think that's where the problem lies.
That's quite a big problem. All right, so let's take a break, everyone. We'll also be looking at what will likely happen in the course of today at the Supreme Court. To understand the Apex Court will deliver judgment today on the disputes within the ADC and, of course, the PDP as well. And we'll keep an eye out for you as usual. After this break, we'll talk about those and much more. Do stay with us.
All right, you're welcome back. And if you're just tuning in, this is Global Morning on Global Television. And before we delve into politics when it comes to the judgment that will be held today at the Supreme Court, we should get something to eat to just, cool down. Don't you think we?
Of course.
So the segment now is Taste and Texture. Stay tuned.
Hello everyone and welcome to Taste and Texture. Today we are going to be preparing boiled plantain and egg sauce. For the boiled plantain, we'll be needing the following: ripe fresh plantain, knife and clean pot, water. Here is the process of preparing boiled plantain. Wash and cut or dice your fresh ripe plantain into few pieces. In a clean pot, add your diced and washed ripe plantains. Add water, salt and cover to cook for a few minutes. Drop and drain the water, and then after a few minutes peel the boiled plantain and set aside. For the egg sauce, we will be needing a few fresh pieces of raw eggs. In a clean bowl, break your raw eggs and whisk. Get your clean frying pan and add oil to fry. Add your pepper, mix and stir for a few minutes. Then add Maggi and other seasoning of your choice. Then stir and add corned beef. Optional. Also stir your already whisked eggs and finally add parsley and stir it. Our boiled plantain and egg sauce is ready. That's it on this episode of the show. I hope you will try this recipe at home. Join me again on Taste and Texture next time. I am Sadia Yakubu. See you again.
All right, now hope you enjoyed that segment on Taste and Texture. Now up next is Inspirational Heart to Heart with Bramsey Enoch Agbo. Stay tuned.
Hello and welcome to another beautiful day right here. It is Heart to Heart Inspirational. And of course, my name is Bramsey Enoch Agbo. Your voice matters. That's what we want to look at today. Your voice matters. Okay. It doesn't matter. When we say your voice matters, what are we talking about? Is it that you are talkative? Is it that you are loquacious? Is it that you are a lingua franca? You can speak a lot of languages. That's what we mean when we say your voice matters. A lot of voices have gone down the drain today. A lot of good voices, all right? When we say your voice matters, are we talking about the fact that you can sing or you are a poet. No, it's beyond that. Let me give you something right now. Silence has cost the world many solutions. Somewhere, someone needed your voice, but you never knew. But one of the things that have stopped a lot of people, a lot of voices from being heard, a lot of opinions from being shared, a lot of talents from being manifested is fear. Fear of what will happen if it doesn't go my way. My voice, are you sure my idea is going to count? Are you sure my opinion matters? Your voice is needed at several places for several reasons, but fear convinced you to stay quiet. You see what fear does? What is fear? In the actual sense of it, let me define fear for you. Fear is spelled F-E-A-R. Let me give you the acronym of fear. Fear is false evidence appearing to be real. That is false evidence appearing real. F for fear, E for evidence, A for appearing, then R for real. It is not real, but it's appearing to be real. You see, you've been quiet because of fear. You've been quiet because of maybe you feel you're going to be embarrassed, whereas you have a very good idea. Some people can never share their ideas. All right. I'm not saying you should share your vision to dream killers. That's not what I'm saying. Please, let's get this right, because I tell people all the time, it's not everybody you share your dreams with. If you are in doubt, please go and ask Joseph, his own brother. You remember what they did to him. I'm not saying you should share your dream with every Dick and Harry. Your plans, go and share your plans with everyone you see on the road. In fact, people, it's not even good to talk too much. Anywhere you go, you are just like a typewriter. 200 words in 1 minute. Habba. That's not the kind of voicing, speaking that I'm talking about. All right? Your voice carries story. It carries your experience. And it carries your perspective. And a lot of people will tell you that a closed mouth is a closed destiny. A closed mouth is a closed destiny. A lot of people cannot be helped because, number one, they don't know the right people to even talk to. A lot of people are talking to the wrong persons per time. First of all, you need to know where and when your voice is supposed to be heard. You need to know where and when you need to speak. You don't speak everywhere. You don't talk everywhere. You should not be predictable. When people see you, they should not say, you don't they come. We know. Then before you know what is happening, you landed the venue and 200 words per minute. And you're not even making sense with what you're saying. It's embarrassing. That's not the kind of voice that I'm talking about. The voice that comes with quality. The voice that comes with perspective to every situation. The voice that comes with an experience that someone can learn from and become successful in life. A voice that carries stories that stands the test of time. Do you know that you go to some places and you share your story or maybe an experience or a perspective and somebody catch their vision? Yes. Somebody might just be around there. This is somebody that has been thinking, all right, of what to do in life. What do I even need to do in life? What am I in life for? Some people are even thinking suicide because they don't know what to do. Life doesn't mean anything to them. Then you come there, you begin to share stories, you begin to share testimonies, you begin to say some kind of positive things, and these people begin to realize themselves. They begin to discover themselves, because in every word that you speak, somebody is hearing, and every word that you hear per time have an impact in your life, either negatively or positively. And that's the reason I tell people all the time, it's not everyone you listen to. Be careful what you hear all the time. Be careful who you give your ears to. Be careful who you share your moments with. What you have survived qualifies you to speak. What you've learned position you to help other people. You don't need to be a perfect person to be impactful. You don't need perfection to be impactful. That thing you are hiding, that story you are hiding, that idea you are hiding, that inspiration you are hiding could be something that can change somebody's life forever. A lot of us are supposed to be making impacts with our voices, but we are hidden. We are trampled in fear. You need authenticity, as a matter of fact. Let me give you an instance. This is just an illustration. A candle, we all know what a candle is. A candle doesn't just lose light by lighting another candle. All right? You get that. You light a candle, for instance, then you use that candle to light another candle. The first candle that you use in lighting the second candle does not lose its light. That is impact there. It has made impact, but it never affected it in any way. Now, your voice doesn't diminish others. It multiplies impact. That is, I'm talking about a positive voice, all right? A positive voice. Okay, there are some people that if they come and they speak, you hear wisdom. You spend 2 minutes with some persons. When they want to leave, you say, you'll be feeling bad. I wish this person can stay with me a little more time. Because these are people that their voices multiply impact. Maybe you knew something before. Why am I saying this? Let me establish this. I'm saying all of this so that you know the kind of people you listen to. You know the kind of voices you listen to. And you on your own part should know that your voice needs to be heard. Except you know the import of it. You will just keep quiet where you are supposed to speak. You are not making impact. It doesn't diminish you if you make impact. It doesn't affect you. But then it lightens somebody's world. Maybe to somebody that is downcasted, somebody that is about committing suicide, somebody who is feeling lonely, just a word from you can make somebody's day. Like I was telling someone some times back, just a smile, good morning, how you doing, can make someone feel big. Exchange of smile. By the time you smile to someone and the person smiles back, it's have a way of making people feel good, of setting people's day, a good pace for people's day. Stop minimizing your stories. Speak, even when your voice is shaky. Share what you know now, all right? Share what you know now. Because maybe by the time you want to speak it the next time, it may not be as valuable as it is when that inspiration comes. All right? When you have the leading to do it, go ahead and do it. Maybe you want to start a business, for instance, and there is someone around you you need to speak to. Don't hold it back. If you have the leading to speak to the person, go ahead and do it. Your voice, okay? Your voice is someone else's breakthrough, in case you don't know. All right? Your voice is someone else's breakthrough, but you may not know that. Okay? Your voice, your own voice, is somebody else's breakthrough. Open your mouth. Speak the truth. Speak it out. The world is waiting for your sound. The world is waiting for your manifestation. The world is waiting for you to let that thing out of you. Especially when you know it's inspiring. Especially when you know it's going to stop someone from maybe committing suicide. Because a lot of people are confused in this generation. They don't even know what to do. And that's why you have a lot of photocopy. We have few originals. A lot of people are duplicates of other people's ideas, of other people's lifestyle, of other people's opinion. But you got a voice. Your voice can shape somebody's destiny forever. What are you waiting for? What are you scared of? Fear has stopped a lot of people from doing so many things, from taking a particular step they need to take. But today, I want to charge you. I want to inspire you I want to speak to your heart that your voice, there are people today, let me say this, I think I need to say this, because you don't know who is listening to what you're saying. In that meeting, in that gathering, all right, you don't know if your destiny helper is there. Maybe a contribution that you want to make as you're trying to make sense on time, it will give the person by your side, all right, an inspiration, an acumen, okay, to become what they have been planning to be. Your voice might be a witness to what the Spirit is telling them, to what their mind is telling them, to what their instinct is telling them. So speak it out. Stop holding it back. Congratulations, everyone, listening to the sound of my voice right now, because you are a success, going somewhere to happen, a voice that the world will reckon with. And as expectation of a lot of creature is the manifestation of people like you. Go, manifest, voice it out, say it. The truth, you should be known with saying the truth all the time. Have a beautiful day. Bye-bye for now.
All right, you're welcome back. And of course, it's Global Morning on Global Television. And I hope you enjoyed that heart-to-heart inspirational with Ramsey Enoch Agbo. And at about this time is the newspaper review segment. And we'll start with the first paper of the day. It's the Vanguard newspaper. And above the nameplate, it says Nigeria's infrastructure spending to hit $40 billion by 2050, and that's from the PwC. And that read you will find on page 19. Now, beside the nameplate, it says Lagos 2027, Tinubu endorses Hamzat. And that read is on page 10. And on page 8, it says, How we uncovered plots to overthrow Tinubu, Army tells court. And the star story on the Vanguard newspaper, it says here, Supreme Court to determine PDP ADC fates today. And we have some riders there. It says to deliver verdict on 4 appeals. Lower court bars INEC from recognizing Mark-led ADC congresses. Next says Mark's leadership hijack plot has collapsed, and that's from Kachuku. And the next says we will study ruling and take action. Bolaji Abdullahi, lawyer CSOs speak, and that read you will find on page 5. And on page 10 on the Vanguard it says I made Daniel governor, Senator Abiodun, and the writer says your claim is insulting to voters, says Daniel. And basically, those are all the major headlines on the Vanguard newspaper. Go out and get yourself a copy and be well abreast with the major issues making rounds. Next is the Punch.
Okay, top right, first of all, we have a picture of President Bola Tinubu there. It has a kicker saying, Plateau, Tinubu vows crackdown on killers, approves 2 billion naira relief on the Punch newspaper. Next, Zoning's Police Coalition Obedience demands Southern candidate. Petrol nears 1,400 naira per litre as Dangote hikes price. Did I hear you say Dangote price hike again? Well,
Yes.
it's where we are now.
Oh my goodness.
There is one, I just said the nameplate here. Tinubu sacks NNDP RA boss amid jet fuel pricing row. That's Mohammed, the now, as it stands, former Chief Executive Officer of the Nigerian Midstream and Downstream Petroleum Regulatory Authority. All right. Then the big one here with the kicker says 2027 election. For the umpteenth time, INEC's hands are tied, metaphorically. All right, PDP. Adeleke alleges dramatic details on page 39 of today's issue of the Punch newspaper. Nigeria Revenue Service flags rising illicit capital outflows, recovers 80 billion naira. Tinubu elevates Odumegu Ojukwu, appoints Eni Kaloye new minister. We understand Dr. Bianca Ojukwu has now been elevated to being the senior minister of Foreign Affairs following the resignation of Ambassador Yusuf Tuga, who says he wants to go pursue his governorship ambition in his home state of Bauchi.
Yeah.
Right, so President Tinubu didn't allow that vacuum last for too long, right? Leadership, apparently. How we abducted, killed Lagos UTME candidates. Sad story, that's
Very
according
sad.
to the suspects. Apparently they've been apprehended. Please do read it up on pages 4 and 5. Lastly, 12 Chibok girls set to graduate from Yola University. That's relieving, and a reminder that big things can happen from a small place.
Yes, it can. Yes, it can.
Well, those are all the headlines we have for you from the Punch newspaper this morning. As always, we urge you to read up details. Next is the Nigerian Tribune.
All right, now the Nigerian Tribune, and we'll move quickly to page 11 above the nameplate. It says, Oyo 2027, weighing the APC's 3 front runners, strength, structure, and the path to Agodi. And next on page 20, it says Tinubu mandates Plateau stakeholders to work towards lasting peace, donates 2 billion naira to victims. And on page 6, it says Dangote refineries jet fuel exports rise sharply as World Bank, IMF face criticisms over East Africa refinery debate. And below the nameplate, the star story says Supreme Court decides PDP ADC's faith today. And that's on page 4. And there's just one rider. It says High Court bars INEC from recognizing ADC state congresses. And on page 25, it says police order dismissal, persecution of officers involved in Efrun shooting. And on page 3, it says 210 trillion naira NNPCL probe carry Ajayi Wuntin ready to testify. And writer says a Senate committee gives Ajulari fresh May 13th ultimatum, risk arrest. And that's on page 3, like I mentioned before. And below all of that, the health segment says high pesticide exposure raises cancer risk by 150%. And that's study, and I think that is food for thought, because pesticides, we do not know the kind of chemicals that are being used, and a lot of people will just, spray due to mosquitoes.
The goal is to kill mosquitoes and all the flying and creeping things.
Exactly. Not waiting out enough. And sometimes you have to wait for as long as an hour or 2, and then you go in. But some people, 30 minutes, 15 minutes, they feel it's all good. They go back.
Because there's a UEFA match you want to catch.
And not only that, some might even tell you it has, there's some that are odorless, I think.
Okay.
But still, they are all chemicals.
Non-invasive.
Not exactly. So please, let's take precautions.
I think it's even better if you can. Again, depending on the circumstances that are peculiar to a particular household.
Yes.
You do it in the morning and then you leave.
Exactly.
So, of course, by the time you retire back home in the evening,
You're
the deed would
good.
have been done.
Exactly, but just wait it out.
Yeah,
December,
yes,
as long
you need
as
that
you can.
patience.
No, you need the patience. It's very important. But Nigerians, we're always in a hurry.
Right.
We're always in a hurry. And then, of course, below that it says 2027, Tinubu endorses Hamzat as GAC visits Villa. And the writer says, I am ready for the race, Lagos Deputy Governor. And it says, Senate approves Tinubu's 516.3 million loan for Sokoto Badagry Superhighway. And that's on page 21. And basically, that is it on the Nigerian Tribune. Please go out and get yourself a copy and be well abreast with the major issues making rounds to be well informed. And next is the New Telegraph.
All right, let's bring you the first one here, just right about the name MAST. CBN, Nigeria's economic activity contracts for first time in 16 months. Right, it says PMI crashes to 49.4% on the Middle East crisis. That's the Purchasing Managers Index there, crashing 49.4% on Middle East crisis. Oil price hits $119 on U.S. planned extended blockade. We're hearing that the Strait of Hormuz, as we know it, is now probably being changed. No thanks to the U.S. president, who says it will now be known as the Strait of Trump. A Senate approves Tinubu's $516 million superhighway loan, confirms Yuguda as CBN deputy governor. That's headline has a picture of President of the Senate, Godswill Akpabio, on pages 4 and 5. Electoral Act arrives OK, e-service of court orders presidential pre-election cases to terminate at Apex Court. Tinubu names Odumegu Ojukwu Foreign Minister, nominates Minister of State. Ambassadors, commissioners designate, get land allocations. In Abuja, we understand they have already started the paperwork less than 24 hours ago, all of them. A functioning democracy depends on rule of law, freedom of opposition. That's credited to a chieftain of opposition PDP, Chief Olabode George. What does the big headline say? High Court bars INEC from recognizing ADC congresses. And somewhere you're asking yourself, does it mean all of that investment the other day here in Abuja has gone to waste? I do not have that answer. We are reviewing Abuja Court Judgment Party. 2027 elections won't hold without ADC on the ballot. Owosu. Rivers Congress members protest as INEC demand Amupiton's removal. Leadership crisis. Remarks ADC to accuse PDP. Discover fate today as Supreme Court delivers judgments. Quite an extensive read, apparently, on pages 3, 5, and 27. 2027, Tinubu endorses Lagos Deputy Governor Hamzat as APC consensus candidate. And on the right end of the front page of the New Telegraph, Tinubu removes Mohammed, nominates Umar as new NMDPRA CEO. 2027 APC Guba aspirant mascot Kalu peaks nomination form. Senator Sani takes APC Kaduna Central senatorial form. All right, interesting. Well, further down a little, Plateau attacks. Tinubu approves 2 billion naira relief for Angwa Rukuba victims. Asks Plateau leaders to review past government white papers, propose implementable solutions. Ekiti church attack. Khan demands swift rescue of worshippers. Xenophobic tensions. Protests protect Nigerians in South Africa. Federal government tells Ramaphosa. As protesters tell Nigerians, others to go home, fight for economic freedom. Quite a tense situation.
Very tense.
It is. All right, so last one, the fruits of the paper. It says pesticides exposure every day increases cancer risk. Now, for context, it doesn't really talk about the use of it. It says everyday use.
Everyday use.
So it's about the constants of
Yes,
using it,
constant
right?
use.
Well, those are details you find on page 30. Incidentally, Juma and I talked about that just barely 4 minutes ago.
Yes, we did.
A word my mom says is enough for the wise.
Everyone's mom says that.
So all the moms have something in common.
Yes, they do.
All right, let's take you now to the Nation newspaper where Juma has headlines for us.
All right, now the Nation newspaper, above the nameplate, it says Bianca Ojukwu is Foreign Affairs Minister, and that's on page 21. And it says Enekonolaye to join team. And on page 3 it says how African can maximize global mineral economy by Alake. That's on page 3, and of course, everyone is waiting to hear that. Of course, it is beneficial to Africans. And on page 4, it says IG orders dismissal trial of officer who shot man in Delta. You know, I heard that about a police officer who shot a man in Delta State, wondering what that is all about.
Right.
You see, a lot has to do. The police have to understand that you just cannot open fire on civilians. It's so wrong.
Maybe that's an opportunity for me to just put it in front of our viewers this morning that on this today's edition of Issues, where I'll be filling in for our colleague Ramsey Enoch Agbo, that will be the focus of our conversation because extrajudicial killing has become a menace.
That
is very daunting. Been here for a long time. This was somewhere in Uvie is in Delta State. You and I, we were able to engage the police PRO, Delta State Police Command, right, who also spoke to some of these issues. He granted an interview to our sister station, and he talked. I mean, you could see how overwhelmed he was when he talked about these issues.
Sad.
Because the anchors, the hosts, wanted him to maybe highlight some indications, all right, that point to factors responsible for this sort of spontaneous, irrational action. And he said, look, I've been the public relations officer for Delta State Police Command for 6 years and counting. I've never seen anything like this, all right? So I even can't put a finger on what must have led him. But one thing I can assure you, and indeed Nigerians, is that the law will take its course. As of yesterday, the Inspector General of Police had already ordered the dismissal of all the police, no one exempted, all the policemen involved in it, and followed by prosecution. We understand that process already has started, and we hope that it gets to a logical conclusion.
It does.
So that, like previous cases, we do not also now see the police being accused of complicity, trying to cover up all of these sort of and stuff like that, because the police know better, apparently.
Yes, they do, and this really needs to stop. For as much as we know that there are criminal elements, but of course there is a procedure.
You never want to watch that video. It's quite
it's very gory. I saw that he was on the floor and all of that.
But, you know,
and pleading for his life.
But then, as they say, is what it is. There have been several. I mean, this is not trying to preempt the justice system, but there have been several theories out there. One of them saying that is it possible he was complicit in some of the deals that this young man, 28-year-old guy,
so I heard,
was into?
Oh yes.
Was he trying to cover up something? What was so pressing that brought about that desperation, leading to you shooting him there on the spot? And we
shot him on his legs.
You shot him again when you got to the station. I mean, Brian Dafe said the man had been seen in his own pool of blood. The police station was rushed to the hospital, but he died en route.
Very sad.
Right.
For as much as I do not support criminality, and I believe that
there's a laid down procedure.
Exactly. That's why I said
rules of engagement.
We have due processes, and it has to be followed. You have no right whatsoever. Please, you're not the court of competent jurisdiction.
Of course.
And truly, because you are a police officer, of course the country recognizes you, doesn't give you the right to actually pull the trigger.
To be trigger happy.
To be trigger happy, that's the word. And I'm glad the law is going to take its course, and it should take its course. It's just unfortunate. No life should be wasted. No, none at all should be wasted. And that is why we have procedures, like we mentioned. Very unfortunate incident there. And then moving on the Nation newspaper, it says here, how we uncovered plot to topple Tinubu by military officer, and that is on page 3. And then below that, it says, enemies exploiting insecurity to ask me won't succeed. I'll seek second term, says Tinubu, and that's on page 3. And below that, it says...
He has bought form already.
Yes, he has. So...
As they say in university, he has applied.
He has applied. He has applied. And then here it says, Supreme Court to determine ADC's fate today. And the writer says, court voids congresses conducted by Mark-led NWC. And the Star Story says, APC aspirants set up big battle for tickets in states. And the writer says, heavyweight sidestep consensus for shadow poll. And it says here, at the foot of the nation, it says Oyo 2027 strengths, weaknesses of governorship aspirants, and that's on page 20. And those are all the major headlines on the Nation newspaper. Go ahead and get yourself a copy and be well informed so you can avoid fake news. Next is the leadership.
Tinubu, enemies want to use insecurity to remove me. I won't quit, on page 7. All right, so it looks like what I like to call the Abeokuta scenario is playing out again, where he shouted Emiloko. Yeah, in 2022. Yes, it looks like that, because once he said that, it became a situation of not going back on the then candidate of the APC, now today now the president. And now it appears this is some sort of
conspiracy.
Well, that's what he's pointing to, right? But it is some reenactment, as they say in drama, right? Well, let's see how this all pans out. It appears it's on the one hand Nigerians against insecurity, on the other hand the president against those behind insecurity.
Yes,
right. But Nigeria must win at the end of the day.
Very true.
Judge voids Mark-led ADC congresses as Supreme Court rules on party's crisis today. Petrol prices to rise as Dangote raises gantry rates. Read that up on page 25. Tinubu fires NMDPRA CEO after just 4 months in office. Nominates Rabiu Umar as replacement. Chief executive sacked amid aviation fuel crisis. Right. What's more, Dar Investment drags CAC to court over altered 300,000 shares of late Chief Dokbesi. That's a bit complicated. IGP orders dismissal, prosecution of officers over a Furu suspect's killing. That's the one Juma and I highlighted a few minutes ago.
Yes, we did.
Imams pray against insecurity at Yobe gathering. Senate OK's president's $516.3 billion loan for Sokoto Badagry Superhighway project. Those are the much headlines from the Leadership newspaper today. As always, we encourage you to read up details. Next is the Guardian newspaper.
All right, now the Guardian newspaper below the nameplate on page 3, it says Tinubu removes NMDPRA CEO in public interest, nominates Umar. And on page 3 again it says court grants federal government's plea for witness protection, accelerates trial of suspects. And on page 3 again it says fear over oil glut as NNPCL increases crude prices across grades. And you see, that's the fear, how people will start. Some people, hot fuel now, buy as much and put it in places and
panic purchase,
which is really scary, because God forbid you do not know who is with a fire or a cigarette or a match, and please, panic buying, let's try and avoid that. And here on the Star Story segment, it says, insecurity, Atiku Tinubu trade blames as U.S. moves to tighten oversight on Nigeria. And on page 5, it says, 2027, Tinubu backs Hamzat for Lagos APC Gabar ticket. And on page 6, it says, ADC faces existential test as today's Supreme Court verdict shapes 2027 prospects. Everyone is waiting. And basically those are, below the foot of the Guardian, it says here, NMA rejects court ruling granting FCCPC oversight on medical negligence, and that's on page 4. And below that again, it says here, Plateau, Tinubu seeks end to crisis. OK's 2 billion naira relief for victims, and that's on page 20. And basically, those are all the major headlines on the Guardian newspaper. Next is the First Daily.
Atiku Abubakar Rotimi Amechi meet vow to challenge APC. Tinubu approves 2 billion naira relief meet plateau leaders on peace. Senate approves $516 million loan for Sokoto Badagry Highway. Spiritual bullets, outrage as Delta police killing sparks nationwide fury. With two writers here saying IGP orders dismissal, prosecution of officers. Peter Obi, NBA, Amnesty International condemn killing, demand justice. Court bars INEC from recognizing ADC congresses amid crisis. That it blasts 2027 opposition alliance, calls it unrealistic. Ekiti Court sentences to death for armed robbery. Police rescue 5 abducted polytechnic students in Ogun. NDLEA seizes opioids worth 16.9 billion naira in Lagos rates. You know, when I was growing up, if somebody got arrested for being in possession of illicit substance, which was for virtually every instance marijuana, it was just within, quantity you could consume. So it was with one person or a group of 3 persons. It was just the much they could consume.
True.
There was no commercial value. There was no commercial motive or what have you.
Exactly.
But today, here, so volume of tramadol has been confiscated during a raid by the NDLEA with street value of 20 billion naira.
Yeah, exactly.
You're wondering, hold on a second, how do they get through the borders into our country? By what means or channels were they going to move them out of the country?
Exactly.
You know, what is the distribution channel? It's crazy.
It's
and then you're asking yourself, who are those really involved in this? Because when I follow the NDLEA news every other Sunday when Babafemi releases all of these statements and stuff. And then you're wondering, hold on, is it like every other day or on multiple times a day, these guys just devise new means, new strategies of getting these things done? The one that blows me away is what the NDLEA tells us about the means by which they conceal these things. Sometimes they tell you, stack of towels. Sometimes they say in baby items, things that in your own lifetime you will never imagine they could use for things like that.
Yes.
Just this week, I read somewhere that those who leave Nigeria by road to other parts of Africa through the Sahel, of course, are now also ingesting. So I think the airport channel has become too challenging for them. So they are now using the land borders to also do this. But how you ingest substance like that for that stretch of journey is what I will never ever understand, because at the end of the day, this is about human beings.
Yes, it is. But at the same time, I told you it's all about desperation and how to the fast and quick way of making money very fast. That's the fastest way. People feel that that's the only way you can break out of poverty. And most of these,
when it comes big.
Exactly. When it comes big, and they forget that this sort of money, if not utilized, God can give you the grace, you get away with it.
Right.
And because some people are greedy, they do it over and over and over again, and they are caught. And that's why it's very, very sad, because greed plays a major part, and that's the fastest way of making very quick money at the detriment of what we, at the detriment of lives. Because so many youths are so hooked on these drugs, they cannot do without it. At the detriment of individuals that you have destroyed their lives, their homes. No one cares as long as they're making money. And it's just unfortunate. I do hope the law will continue to take its course on these individuals and the tight security around the airport. Because if you ingest that and they tell you you're supposed to hold it on for 5 hours and it prolongs, that individual might die. That's the risk factor now. They don't care. as long as the money is there.
Meanwhile, the cartel continues to run.
Oh yes, who cares about if one person dies in the process of trying to transport drugs and he loses his life?
We'll
always
the next
recruit.
person.
Well, of course they're going to recruit. There's always one junkie out there who is so hooked on drugs that will find any means to get that high or make that money to get the next high.
Right.
So that's what no one cares about these individuals. They don't care. It's what you bring, and it's the kudi in Hausa, Owo in Yoruba, and of course
Ego in
Igbo. So,
well, those are all the headlines from the First Daily today, everyone. Look up details for yourself and stay ahead of the news. Next port of call, incidentally, the last one as well, is the Daily Trust newspaper.
all right, now the Daily Trust newspaper, and I'm going to start with a star story. It says ADC Supreme Court in Make Omar judgment, and of course everyone is waiting for that ruling. And above that it says Walida court orders DSS to hand over operatives, and that's on page 27. Now on page 22 it says safeguarding party values and Sun City against desperation and political manipulation. And you have to see page 22 to get all of that read. And on page 14 it says, Mr. President, please address marginalization on zoning in Bauchi State. And that's on page 14, I mentioned before. And below the foot of the Daily Trust, it says, enemies trying to use insecurity to get rid of me. And that's from our dear President, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. And that read you will find on page 7. Now, on page 16, it says, ambassadors designate get land in Abuja. And on page 7, it says, pastor killed. 15 worshippers abducted in Ekiti. Ekiti is becoming a concern to us these days. This is like the third or fourth attack on Ekiti, especially when it has to do with churches.
A place that has been extremely safe, peaceful.
Exactly. Extremely safe and peaceful. But now we get news that are scary in Ekiti. I think a lot needs to be done there. And on page 25, it says, police dismiss ASP, others over killing of suspect in Delta. And of course, that's the right way to go about getting judgment. It's very important. And basically, like you mentioned, this is the last paper on the newspaper review segment. And go on to get yourself a copy to be well abreast, or will I say well informed, on the major issues making rounds. And please note, Global Morning Crew or Global Television has no input whatsoever when it comes to the editorial judgment of all of these papers. It was read to you as it was imprinted on the papers, right, Lee?
Of course.
And of course, let's go on a very quick break. And when we come back, we'll start with the first discuss of the day, talking about state policing. You don't want to miss out on this one. Stay tuned. Do not go anywhere.
Up with Global Morning, your daily guide to what's happening and making the rounds.
We delve into headlines, newspaper reviews, spot-on analysis, policies, current events, real talk, real issues that affect us all.
From the latest trends to the debate, every topic, every angle, Global Morning is where it all starts.
Global Morning,
For the latest issues,
always on point.
Watch Global Morning Monday to Friday at 7 a.m.
Saturday and Sunday at 8 a.m. on Global Television.
In an age of breaking news, you need a trusted source that prioritizes accurate, factual, and unbiased reporting. This is AM News, and I am Ubong Usoro.
On Global Television, our news is rooted in verified and authoritative storytelling that keeps you educated, informed, and enlightened on all the issues that matter to you. I am Sadia Yakubu. This is Midday News.
You can trust our multi-platform news broadcast, real-time and fast-check stories for all the big local and foreign headlines round the clock. I am Ramsey Enoch Agbo. This is News Express.
Our array of anchors delivers the news to our teeming viewers, breaking it down with context and perspective. This is News Cycle on Global Television. I am Anieti Patrick.
And the flagship news is your hub for the day's most engaging stories. This is News Prime, and I am Jumai Manson.
Did you miss any of our news rounds? No worries. Catch up at 10 p.m. and midnight, 7 days of the week. I am Mukhtar Kasim.
Global TV is on DSTV channel 365 and Star Times channel 276. We're active across all social media platforms at Global TV NG.
Global TV News, accurate and unbiased. I'm Uyi Agmofwebe.
At Witchtech Cables, we don't just make cables, we deliver excellence. Our products are built with advanced technology, trusted for their unmatched quality and durability. With a wide range of cables, swift delivery, and continuous innovation, we stay ahead of the market demand. We are proudly Nigerian, fully indigenous, yet world-class. Backed by a professional team, strong technical support, and a deep commitment to customer satisfaction. Witchtech Cables is more than a brand, it's a promise. Witchtech Cables, quality cables better than the best.
Our language, our vibrant culture and colorful tradition, our industrious and hospitable people. This is Nigeria, a nation that prides itself in abundant human and natural resources. From east to west, north to south, we sparkle, we shine, we have a common bond. Fellow Nigerians, let's do away with ethnic, religious, and regional sentiments that divide us as a people. God has blessed us and empowered us to find strength in diversity. Let's make our faith and way of worship our source of unity as we build a nation that stays united. Nigeria, together today, together always. This is a public announcement brought to you by Global Television.
The insecurity challenge in Nigeria has long ago assumed a very troubling dimension, of course, given the several fronts that this challenge itself has assumed over a long stretch of time. As it stands today, there are several solutions being proffered. The federal government says that it's on top of the situation. Security agencies are saying, look, this is coming to an end as quickly as possible. However, on the flip side, that is not exactly the reality that Nigerians are dealing with, because as it stands today, it has become a case of, well, a bad situation becoming worse on some level. And to that extent, what you find is a situation where questions on a daily basis are being asked as to what exactly do we do at this point? Where do we go from here? In recent years, the conversation around state police and how it can become the panacea to this problem has also assumed the front burner. As it stands today, it appears from body language and from feelers around the presidency, there's a pretty good chance that President Bola Tinubu is making the creation of state police that are inherent in this initiative in light of the uniqueness of the security situation in the country today. We're joined by Otumba Bolaji Adigun, is Deputy Chief of Staff and Zone 7 Chairman of the Police Community Relations Committee. Otumba, I would like to say a big thank you to you. I mean, you found time in between your coffee this morning to make it to our studio.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for coming.
We give God the glory.
We appreciate that.
I'm saying happy to the management of Global. You're doing well.
Thank you.
Keep it up.
We appreciate that. Thank you, sir.
The sky is the limit.
Amen.
Thank you,
sir.
So let's talk about the state of insecurity. I mean, you are, one of the best persons to have this conversation with, because you have seen in Nigeria, like Gina and I were talking about this morning, that did work in terms of security situation. In Nigeria, where people were not afraid to leave their doors open, where citizens were not afraid to bring strangers into their homes because they were hospitable the entire time. But today, sadly so, that is not the same situation we're dealing with. We have said, okay, well, let's change the leadership structure in the armed forces. We have said, well, there are people who are financing insecurity, who have their own selfish interests, and so on and so forth. But perhaps the bigger part of the conversation today is saying, since insecurity is a local problem, first of all, why don't we localize our policing system by introducing the state police system? What are your thoughts?
Well, I want to say a good morning to Nigerians and also to Global Television. The issue of state policing is something that we have been dragging for a long period. Personally, by my status as a PCRC members, we were not in support of state policing for one reason or the other, and from experience of life. We know all our country that sometimes there are good things that will come, but the politicians hijack it for their selfish reasons. But with the present situation of the insecurity, we have no other means of quenching it right now than the state policing. The federal government on its own, they have failed on our own side to see what they can do to upgrade the police. Because it's already in existence, we just want to deceive ourselves. When we say police, there's nowhere in this country you will not find a black policeman in his own city.
Of course.
But when we're talking of the strength of the police, that is where I was saying the federal government failed, because they have failed to upgrade them to a certain level. By the standard of the policing, we're supposed to be one policeman to 100 people. But in Nigeria, it's one policeman to 2,000 people. So how can they be functional? No matter how many bullets you have, you can't shoot 1,000 person at a time. Now, these people that are giving us problems, they have seen the weaknesses of the policing of itself, and that's why they are using the advantage. Now I'm happy that the federal government has woken up to see how we can pull a little bit of challenge, and at the same time we have to be careful so that we cannot be used, or people cannot be used. When we say state policing, it's a very good idea, because the last dispensation before IGP Disu has tried it, but Disu is a grassroots policeman, and I'm happy that is why the correct peg is on the correct hole by bringing our IGP Disu into the system. He's somebody who knows very much about the grassroots, and with the PCRC coming up, I can bet you that we have over 20 million members in Nigeria and all abroad and everywhere. We're about 40 million. We're already on ground, and it is now left for the Nigerians and the federal government to use the correct tools for the correct operation. So that we don't go and say we are looking for one consultancy, we are looking for it's already existing, my brother. If you look at the north now, we have a young, call them, there's a name they used to call them. In the southwest they have Omotekun, in the east they have this thing. So why not bring these people out and give them a leadership training for them to be committed? They are Nigerians, and the only person that can control yourself is the person within the community. For example, now where Jumi is, where you are, you know who are your neighbors, and the moment the nearest person is coming, even if you don't talk to the person, you'll be watchful. Because you've been seeing Juni going out 7 o'clock, coming back in the evening. You've been seeing Juni going out, coming back. Bolaji has been going out, coming back. By the time you see the fourth person, you will ask, the three of us will ask, when is this person join us? You ask him. That's self-policing. So what we need to do is we have to be our neighbor's watch. Now those people that we should pick to watch us, they must have a boundary. That's my advice. For example, if we are Kubwa, the state policing will end up at the stage of every area boundary coming in, because when we say state policing, you police within your community, where we have the Nigerian police.
So you can localize the effort.
So that you can localize the effort and give little power to the person that will be controlling them, because without power, where will you report to?
Exactly.
So what we are trying to say is that there should be a proper mechanism of operation, which PCRC are already on ground. We are celebrating our 42nd anniversary now on May 2nd. We've been existing, and it's been established from the act of the police.
But Otumba, I want to ask a question. Sorry to interject. Yes. With all of this that you said, let's take it down to grassroots now. Yes. Do you think individuals, when it comes to state policing, have the capacity, or they have what it takes to actually evolve in all of that?
Thank you very much. Like I said, we have volunteers. That's BBC here. Even without you have Yambanga, you have people watching it night. Even a person watching an estate is already a police. It's already, it's not because it's something uniform.
But there's a difference.
What's the difference? The freedom
is recognized by law.
Is that what I'm saying? That we need to establish the law that will hold them.
So we put a legal framework in place.
So there must be framework which already are believing, and we are part of it. Is already on work, because we have some experts. We don't need to borrow anything. We should have our localized system of working. It's like you are from Bolaji and go and they say, I don't need to go and bring somebody who is speaking English where they cannot speak. But mama that is coming with the market, or even this, you want to do a cabo, you will let him go. That's policing.
But Otumba, these individuals are not well trained. These are bandits we're talking about.
They are
Capacity, exactly.
They are human beings. It's because we are last, because they've seen our weakening. Are they not buying food for the market? Are they not known? Is food not cooking for them? All we need this thing, that's what I'm saying, that a woman selling akara can be a police officer, can be an informant. A vulcanizer can be an informant. A petrol attendant can be an informant. Because all we need to do is to empower them. And that's why we say the mechanism will be in place locally. You will not know. In my place now we have Bale. In Hausa language you have Dakechi. You have Miangwa. If you tell Miangwa now, give him power. Those days, if you remember, if Miangwa, this food that goes out in multicolors, once they are coming, you see children running back into their rooms because they are coming to arrest somebody. And single person will arrest 5 people and they will follow him. It's because it has been localized and power has been given.
That was before internet came, I guess.
Good. When you give power, you see that you can do anything. But when you are not giving power, you'll be scared that law will be against me. Like you said, what the law is established locally. And what I want to say that it should not be politicized. We should try to see how we can spread it.
Would that not be the case as it stands right now? Because there have been concerns for several years up until today that politicians, especially state executives, governors, will exploit this to their own advantage.
Now, with the policy that I've seen that is going in, I don't think a single person can hijack. Like I'm saying, we have in Abuja here, we have Gwagwalada, we have Zuba, we have Zabi, we have all these places whereby there will be a representative. It might be through the chairperson, that's the local government chairman, onwards to the state governor.
Right.
So there will be a hierarchy. The governor can't just stand up and say, police go start shooting. No, there must be understanding. There must be a way of bringing them together to form the law, to understand the law, and to know how to exhibit the law. And it will be done locally. Because without putting that locally, my brother, we cannot get anywhere. It's not until you put on tie before you become a security man. As I'm sitting down here, nobody will know I'm a security man. Like when I'm coming here, I cannot read the traffic light. It's normal. Any person that breaking the traffic light is a madman. Speaking on the phone is a madman. It's because you don't need to be taught. Because you cannot divide yourself. You cannot have full concentration on your driving. So what I'm trying to say that PCRC has done all this, and we have been calling on the grassroots, like Madam is saying. We normally have our meeting every month. We have each chairman. All this has been done. All they need to do is to establish it and give us the power. And if power is not given, bring it together. Let's see how it is only the local people that can decide how they can be monitored. The federal government cannot monitor them. Because there will be federal level, there will be state level, and there will be local level. So what we need to do is to grade them accordingly and give them power. You can see some people voluntarily on the Romero, you see them doing trafficking. He's in love with it, but he doesn't know how to go about it.
Otumba, let me ask you a question, all of this, especially in regards to state policing, all of these challenges that you've mentioned. Do you think, your own opinion now, is the way forward?
Without knowing our problems, we cannot move forward. Now we have known our problems, we are now analyzing this one by one. And now I'm believing there's a consultant from the NIMS, Professor, I've forgotten his name. He's the one in charge, and like I'm saying, he's a good shooter. And Diso, IGP Diso knows who can do it, and he has brought people inside, inclusive of local government, chairmen, PCRC, and other volunteers and human rights. They are working on the formula of what to do, and which I believe these are the things we are putting on ground. It should be local. Once it's local, we shall get there.
But do you think you have as at now, you mentioned something at the beginning. You said it's already in place. We're just waiting for it to start. You mentioned something like that, if I'm not mistaken.
Harmonization.
Yes, exactly.
Yes.
But police, are they well equipped in order to...
So when you say police, you are not mixing it up. Police is different.
I know.
This it's not compulsory. They will not even carry gun. It is when you see something, say something. Because you will not know where to report to.
But Otumba, these other bandits in which they are trying to report or give the right intelligence information, they are armed, Otumba.
Now, you see what policing is doing it is to prevent, not to cure. When you prevent, it's better than to cure.
Right.
What the policing is doing, what the police, Nigerian police and other this are doing, they are curing. But the community policing will be giving information. If now you pass, since we pass behind my door now, and I report, they pass to the next door and they report. Some of them passes through the farm and they cannot say, you see my sheep going in 20s. But when they are not getting power, you don't know who to report to.
Right.
You'll be quiet.
Exactly.
I will give an example of what happened in Buhari here. When they operated through that stage, some of these market people saw them going, they were giving them road. But if you are giving power, I can bet you they know how to block it. Even if it's ordinary wood, they can break it. Okay, they are coming, before they go, they break the wood and they disappear. They are intelligent too. But once you are not given power, I'm not talking of extraordinary power, but say you are part of us. Report to me when you see something. That's all. Fantastic authority. And I can bet you we have to treat it locally. And like I'm saying, every geographical aspect have its own. East has its own ways, South has its own way, the Northern has its own way. We bring them together. How do we police ourselves? Like I said, these bandits, they are human beings. They are human beings like us. But they are taking advantage of our weakening to get us into that system.
There's the school of thought, Ochimba, that thinks, quite frankly, that one of the reasons driving this initiative has delayed for this long is that those who benefit of insecurity, especially at the local level, are afraid that state policing will unravel, blow the lead on them. Therefore, it will be bad markets, in a manner of speaking. Don't you think there are active forces or vested interests whose only objective is to ensure that this state policing idea does not come to fruition?
Well, let me tell you that you have settled one of the cases now by stating what you are saying on the air.
And I'm not getting consultation fee for that.
It's part of your contribution. You are now already a state policing because you have known the problems, and we are now asking her what is the problem. So if all of us continue keeping quiet, there's no person that is bigger than the government. Right. What we need to do is to identify what's our problems. And when we identify our problems, 2, 3, 5 people talking on one person. My brother, no matter how highly you are placed, you will sempe. Because they know. When you say somebody is a notorious guy, one day you will see somebody say, go to that number 22, is there, you see they are eating now. You have done your own job, and you go. Now it's like there must be a reverse way of mechanism to be sure the person is being protected and this is taking place, which is part of what we are doing now. If we continue discussing about these things, they don't want to hear about it. No person that has something in his mind will see a security man. He will must see that shameless, no matter how brave you are. So if we are having these people at every gate of entering a local government, our problem is solved. Ordinarily, if you remember during toll gates, you will now be driving. When you started reaching toll gates, you started pressing brake. Why don't you be going with the 120 kilometers? Because you know something is stopping you there.
Exactly.
So while we have all these people at a barrier, we have almost about 774 local governments, and everybody has his or her own security. My brother, they will now be looking for another 778 local governments on their own, because they will be on that, because no more room for them. Sambisa, people know Sambisa. I know Kubwa, I know Dawaki, I know my office. So if an enemy is coming, I should know better than them, because the enemy is only coming to survey. Now if I open my light, I can get to my room, I can get to my toilet. But all the room now, the stranger will hit the wall, and that's a weakness. So all we need to do is that, how do we get this thing right?
Exactly.
And once the foundation is gotten right, the sky is our
Let's also talk about, I know Juma is a bit itchy to also want to ask a few more questions, but let's talk about some of the things that make the foundation solid. Funding. We're not going to sit here at Tumba and pretend it's going to be free. Funding as of today is a big challenge with the police. There's a bill now for police trust fund that just survived, so to say, second reading just yesterday. And then, of course, we are always seeing even retired police officers coming to protest, embarrassing scenarios about the Nigerian police, the state of the policeman today, and things like that. Of course, let's not even go into the aspect of corruption. They say garbage in, garbage out on computer science. If we were to evolve the state police today, is it not still going to be the same thing as what we have with the conventional police?
It will not. You see, I'm happy with the question, and I want to thank the President Bola Tinubu for the new innovation about the policing. Presently, there's a recruitment of 50,000 policemen ongoing. Don't be surprised. That's we were the Baba Arugungu yesterday. We chatted with him, and this is just the beginning. We are targeting 1.5. Invariably, there must be a target for the payment. There must be a budget for the payment. And don't forget, the work we have been doing since this day, people have been recruiting, people have been dying, people have been resigning, people have been terminated. There's no replacement. So this is the best time we are going. On the federal government, it's okay. It's a simple thing. You see, when we have this local policing, it can even survive on its own. Like I mentioned, we have a lot of volunteers. Somebody like me now, I've been in PCRC for the past 27 years. I've never taken salary, but I have the passion to have myself as part of giving my nation the best of my best. Like I'm coming now, like I said, if I see anything on the way, I will stop. I'm giving the power. The only thing I cannot do, I cannot carry gun. And I cannot go to court, but I can make arrest, I can effect arrest. So why can't you contribute? If anybody can just contribute 5 minutes of our day, you can imagine it, 200 million people. If we can have 100 people to sacrifice 5 minutes of their own, I think there will be a change. Then like you're asking, how will you get? Very simple, sir. If this thing is being established, the local people can even be renting them. There will be established, there will be revenue for the local government. All we need to do is steepest. This thing has been practicalized. If you know, during about I think about 2 years ago, there was a special constabulary. They wear uniform. Yes. But the only thing you can see is you will see batting about their guys. But they give them uniform so that they complement because they discover that they have to. It's voluntary. They have made them to know that you are not paying you. You must have something to do. So if you have the passion, some people want to wear the uniform, you go and serve the police for 2 nights. Maybe on Friday, you go out with them. And that's why I say the policing is already going on. Because the person wearing that constabulary is from the community. If an armed robber wants to escape now, he knows where to go and block it. And when the armed robber is jumping, he's jumping onto their hands. Without this person, the armed robber will escape because he knows the route. The police doesn't. Somebody that is transferred from Ughelli is now going to Abuja, and you say you should go to Gwagwalada and make arrest. So that's why I'm saying the community policing is very, very important, and that's why it's already existing. And when they do that, I think some states got about for the test run. Some states got 1,270. I think Katsina, Kano. I think Abuja had only about 37. Or no, 89, because I was involved. And they are posted to divisions. They give a lot of information to them. You make use of them. And these people are having the passion, like I say. We are not paid. Like 20 million people are not paid now. If we have another 30 million people that are not paid as volunteers, and yourself, we will make it.
All right, let's take a quick break now, everyone. This conversation continues shortly. Do stay with us.
Up with Global Morning, your daily guide to what's happening and making the rounds.
We delve into headlines, newspaper reviews, spot-on analysis, policies, current events, real talk, real issues that affect us all.
From the latest trends to the debate, every topic, every angle, Global Morning is where it all starts.
Global Morning,
For the latest issues,
always on point.
Watch Global Morning Monday to Friday at 7 a.m. Saturday and Sunday at 8 a.m. on Global Television.
Well, let's push the conversation a bit further now, everyone. So, Tom, I was going to ask you, recently, more than ever before, we've heard President Bola Tinubu talk about this idea of state police. When you look at his body language and the things he says, do you see commitment or just political rhetorics?
Thank you very much. I think, like I said, the reality has come because it has passed some stages. Before we have been rambling on ground, but now it has passed and it's almost at the end. Like I said, this is the first time in history that we are recruiting 50,000 policemen officers right now. We had over 100 police and Baba Arugungu, like I said, is the correct person. And my national chairman, Ambassador Alhaji Mogaji Olaniyan, who was given the saddle to supervise and make sure we don't bring the corrupt people into the system. He was able to pick at every stage. We have two people supervising the recruitment exercise. So this time, I think we've gotten it right. Then on the state policing, we, like I mentioned, what's the name? This man, Professor Oloshaki. They are working on it, and they were given, I think, 4 weeks to bring the complete resolution on how policing will work, and it has been passed. I think it's passing the second sitting. Before the end of the year, I am believing there will be something on it, because the way the insecurity is going, we can't help moving on.
All right, well, let's say we're taking another break quickly, everyone. Then we'll bring the last lap of the conversation.
Why don't they bring your water with us?
Up with Global Morning, your daily guide to what's happening and making the rounds.
We delve into headlines, newspaper reviews, spot-on analysis, policies, current events, real talk, real issues that affect us all.
From the latest trends to the debate, every topic, every angle, Global Morning is where it all starts.
Global Morning,
For the latest issues,
always on point.
Watch Global Morning Monday to Friday at 7 a.m. Saturday and Sunday at 8 a.m. on Global Television.
Again, Otumba, there is a concern. When we say voluntary, it raises genuine concerns, really. Because if the men and women who are going to be recruited into this policing network, as I'd like to call it, will be working voluntarily, which means they'll be working for free, essentially. What then do we say to people who before now have told us or proposed that, look, in fact, they've projected that state policing will also be a way to meaningfully engage young people to provide employment? Is that not ironic?
Like I said, I'm not saying that it depends on the implementation that comes out.
Or the model they
yes,
adopt.
but what I'm trying to say that is already existing. Like now we are 20 million in over this
And that's
country.
a whole lot of number.
Yes, as a member, over 40 million over the whole, because it's including diaspora, and we're not paid. So I have to put myself, and I've been in
But
PCRC
also because you are accomplished in your own right.
and that's 27. I've been in PCRC for the past 27 years.
Right.
Now, what we're trying to say, there are a lot of people. Human rights are not being. Some of them are not being paid.
Most of them are not paid.
Do you understand? They will have some legal right that even if you are in the court, he will stand up on his own and say, "No, I want to take up this case." What I'm trying to say, we have them in Nigeria. Let's give them a chance. This will reduce. You are talking how the implementation will be paid.
Right.
So it will reduce. If we have 100,000 people and we have 20,000 volunteers, the 70 volunteers are going to be paid, and they will look for how to be paid. So what I'm trying to say that there will be a lot of ways of generating funds. There will be a lot of ways of generating funds. So with the generation of these funds, there will be a way of compensating them with tippers. You understand? Some of these things, there is no compulsory that you have to get the maximum of the same payment of gasset. But with the present insecurity and the youth going around without anything, engaging them and getting them involved in community policing or state policing, they'll be very happy, because that gets them out of home. You understand, and getting something to do. Then the steepest, like I'm saying. But if the federal government now wants to do it well, by putting them on a certain level of payment, they contribute. And state policing or this may not be every day's work. You understand? Because when you see something, say something, it helps.
But let's talk about harmonizing now. We understand, for example, in the north, you have different clusters of security networks. Well, informal kind of settings. You mentioned Amoteku a while ago. There was a tug of war of some kind back in the days, a few years ago, trying to bring Amoteku upstream. I mean, you go to a place like Anambra State under the leadership of Governor Soludo, you have their own kind of network there. I think it's a Dubeago or something. So you have quite a number of them, across the country like that. When we say state policing, that sounds generic. But are we going to harmonize all of these, if you like, clusters of policing networks to achieve this goal ultimately?
I'm not a consultant on this issue, but I can give my own little advice.
By all means.
There's nothing bad in co-opting these people into the system than starting from the beginning. The devil you know is better than the devil you don't know.
So their existence already makes it easier.
Their system makes it easier because to be sincere, they are very, very organized. And you see, they take the system of the paramilitary, they do exercise, they go on uniform, they go on forestry, they practice how to play gun. What else do you want? So all we need to do now is to give them the power and the authority and have the how will I call it, the formation of their leadership. And you cop them, and they're already there. So it has solved the half of the problem of the state policing, because there's no state now. The way I'm seeing it, look at what happened in is it Ondo State? It is the Amoteku and it is the forest guard that went and got this into the bush. Though it's a joint force, but they are the informants because they know the truth of that place. A soldier man that is being deployed from Abuja to go to Ondo cannot enter the forest, but the volunteers do the same thing. So the same thing in Kano, so in Maiduguri, so in Sokoto, so in Zamfara. Each person knows his or our problem within his own area.
You know what, Ontuba? You know, the chief of defense staff, he made a statement. He said, for insecurities that are all in various states, it's the individuals, and that's in the region that knows them. They actually know them.
Yeah.
Now, for individuals now who want to engage in state policing, that want to compromise, how do you balance it? For as much as you want to give credible information, and those that also give credible information to these enemies within, how do you balance and work around it?
I've said it. You see, once you have been empowered, honestly speaking, there's no how you overcome them. There are not many. It's just because the establishment, the art has not been given. By the time President Bola Ahmed Tinubu gives the art, and the chief of arms officers that you are saying, he has seen that there's they call it non-kinetic system, and he has now seen that even when they drop, it is the people from that city that come and give the information on how to move. So invariably now the policing has started coming. All we need to do now, who do I meet? So that
who can I trust?
Who can I trust? So once you are given that oath, you discover that the truth will be told. Most of the people that say they are repentant, most of them are not repentant fully, but we can make use of them for formations because they know the route. If somebody is told now, they are the one who know the route they normally pass in the midnight. A policeman will not know. People stay in it, but all this information needs to be given a power, and an establishment has to be. And there must be a system that we need to follow. And what I want to say is that we cannot be changing system without practicing a system. Now that we have started, let us go the way we're going and let us act on time. This is the best time that state policing should come up. I've not been in support of state policing, but now it is very, very necessary for us to have state police within the shortest time. And you will see that there will be reduction in crime.
A while ago, you said that it is your wish that this process is not politicized. That's only like a wish. They say if wishes were horses. All right, you have that factor.
The only way we can do is by bringing the correct constitutional rights, the templates of the operational system.
Right.
And that if it doesn't mean because you are a governor, if you do this is your punishment. If you do this, give them the rights, but there must be limitation, not absolutely right to the state government. That's my own decision. But once, like now we have Commander-in-Chief, which is President Bola Tinubu.
Yes.
We have the IG, we have the Air Force, we have this. If all these ones now, when they are coming, like now, you can see last week he had a closed door meeting with them. So it's not saying because of that, all he can do is he can dash instructions, he can dash directives, but it must be constructive directives, and there must be criticisms, which is normal. We must leave room for all those things. Well, let's move ahead so that it's enough of crawling, it's enough of debating, it's enough of planning. Let active be done, because the way the killings is going is getting out of hand, and the only way we can do it now is the state police, because we know ourselves. Like I said from the beginning, somebody in Igbo state now knows within Igweli who is who. And when you are coming in with a strange vehicle, with a strange person, he's a human being, it's not a spirit. You go to the market, and who is going to send? If now, madam, I've been buying worth of goods of 10,000 naira, and suddenly I just came to buy good of 500,000 naira. You ask me, what am I doing party? And if I buy 500,000, tomorrow you didn't see cars in front of my house, I will ask you, what that meat where you come by, what you won't put 500,000 naira meat inside freezer? The answer is no. So invariably, they will trace. I suspect that man will pass that day, where we are that low, say maybe now you can collect the meat. So the next time the person is coming, you'll be watching. They don't finish that meat. So information. Watch that man when they come. When you come, you go see, you go collect meat, you go collect the paper, you go collect this one. Then it is the work of the security men to go and block them as they are coming. What do you carry? Where are you carrying this to? And that's why you can be seeing a lot of people have been confiscated now. Machines, they know where they normally put their guns on the seat. The cars, they know on the bumper. Who gave the information? It is the community that gives information. And it's a useful information, and they're getting it. So what we're trying to say that there are a lot of ways of getting information through state policing. And community policing will come up, because each community will have its own reporting to the state policing. The state policing will be reporting to the boss will be reporting to the state police itself. So the federal government. And before we know it, this can work, and maybe it's our solution, because we are going to police ourselves for ourselves.
Otumba, I want you to emphasize on the channel of communication when it comes to this. You know, a lot of people, like I always tell my co-hosts, I said, when we are placed in a particular, or we have an appointment or in an office, we do not know our terms of reference. So what are the channels when it comes from state policing, reporting to this, reporting to get to the right channel? What are the channels?
Like I said, I don't want to say probably what I don't know is on the constitutional planning they are doing now.
Okay.
But to my own little experience as a PCRC, we have channel of information. We have the unit. The unit is like a place that maybe a river cannot allow you to cross. They say, you give that person a unit and let him have a leader. Say, Mr. Wee, you are the leader of this place. You will see, it's all, when we're in the school, you say you are a monitor. You will be swell. You say, yes, I've been given power. Even somebody that is older than you can say, come here, kneel down, answer. He will pay you because the power, because he knows immediately you disobey, it's reporting to the class teacher. From the class teacher, it's going to the headmaster. From the headmaster, it's going to discipline. So it's that. So what I'm trying to say, there should be a channel, like you said, and the local people should be involved, like the Dekechi, traditional rulers should be involved seriously, because what brought PCRC is the same thing, it's traditional. So what I'm trying to say that if the traditional rulers are involved and cautioned for involvement and bring even tribal under traditional rulers, you bring in, there's no village that you don't see Yoruba man. There's no, they'll say Oba Yoruba, bring him. Oba Nupe, bring him. Oba Fulani, bring him. Oba Igbo, bring him. Oba Edo, bring him. They form a unity under the traditional ruler. The traditional now reports to the DPO.
Fantastic.
Good for everything. The DPO now reports to his area command. The area commander reports to his state. The state reports to IG. That's all. So if all these things is being part, you must, just like you must have, and there must be a toy number in every area to be able to say, when something happen, call this number.
Exactly.
When this one happen, call this number. If
toll-free
number.
A toll-free
A toll-free number, or even if it's not free, let us be sincere. Information is information. Like people do call me in the midnight, I will answer. So I'm robber is in my house. I know who to call immediately. So what we need to do that every area needs to give volunteers, like I'm saying. So there are some rich men, they can afford to buy 10 walkie-talkies for his own area. This is part of the contribution. Because if you are safe, your children are not safe. Your neighbors are not safe. Your wife are not safe. And we all go to the same market. So all we need to do is to see how we can serve ourselves and the nation can change.
Incidentally, it's an electionary period in Nigeria. Do you see this sort of season in our country having an impact on this conversation? Do you see politicians also now jumping on it to drive political narratives?
I can bet you that with my little view, I think politicians now, they've forgotten about the security, how they will get back to their seats. And this is the time President Tinubu needs to move and bring this out, so that before they bounce back, it has been established. I can bet you there are a lot now are not even thinking about it. They are thinking about themselves on how to get to that seat. So there are two different things. If like we're talking about 6 months ago, you've been saying for how many of them visit their villages now? No. They are always hiding in Abuja. And they'll be sending people. So the people who are sending, if we use them as police, they have to bring information to the table. And from the table, we can act before he gets to the seat. Because there will be about 5 people contesting for one seat. You got what I'm trying to say? And if every person is bringing his or her own information, it's a way forward. Then we can now establish and extract what is the problem of that area. Then we'll be able to face it.
Otumba, let's bring it home now. Aside, let's deviate a little bit. Let's talk about insecurity now. Otumba, you agree with me now that it's now worse than what it used to be back in the day?
Well,
do you see any improvement, or do you see it, even if not vanquishing completely, but at least reducing to a particular minimum?
Well, you see, I want to use my own self as experience.
Please do.
It's not worst, because we are having reports. You see, a place that you are not having reports, you cannot identify what is happening.
People are being kidnapped.
Yeah, people, I agree with you. It's been happening, but no reports. You see, now that we're having reports, it's like now you are talking because you know how many people are being killed. Provided if you don't know people that are being killed, you don't have solution to it. So what I'm trying to say that there are two ways into it. We are feeling it because we are hearing, it's too much. But the people concerned have been having sleepless night on how to handle the situation. Now, before they can tell you, Seriki has been killed, you now say everybody will go and relax. But no, nobody is having that one. It will not the people, our own people that are being killed. So everybody will now say, why are they killing our people? Solutions will come, suggestions will come. I'm not saying that is the best, but I believe in that the end has come.
For insecurity?
Yes, for insecurity.
Nigeria?
Yes, please. I can bet you the end has come. Okay. Because the way we are discussing about it now, every division speaks about, every media speaks about it. Where everybody is concerned about me.
But you just mentioned that the governors are thinking about themselves. They don't even care.
But it's normal. It's politics. Let us be sincere, because it's investment. I'm not a politician. I'm a politician, but I don't vow for anything. But anything that comes, I know who to vote for. But what I'm trying to say that politics is something that we need to watch on a separate area. Security is something that we need to watch, but security is everybody's business.
Yes, it is.
And that's why everybody has to be talking. Every media, I'll be appreciating if we are discussing about the solutions will come. Solution has come. Because with what we have discussed now, we can have some extract. The expert can have some extract. The people working on it can extract. My IGP, those who can work on it now. This who can work on it. My national chairman, Maga Jordania, that has been flying all over the country, knows everybody's place. And we have been bringing reports to the table. And we've been seeing, and God help us again, we have a fantastic PPRO who works and gives us power to slip information and bring information. So if you are getting information, I'm getting information, then it's gone. Because what we are doing is that we must know where to give information and write information and protect the information. So once these informations have been protected, I think the sky is our limit. We shall get there.
We're going to need a lot of legislative, if you like, support to make this work. Like we mentioned a while ago, there has to be that legal framework. And there is no other way to get around that other than the National Assembly. All right. If that is the case, we're seeing this, the federal legislators, both at the House of Reps and Senate, being divided over issues of insecurity. Sometimes over issues around the severity or otherwise of kidnapping, of killing, and what have you. By the time this becomes a bill, for example, in front of, whether it's going to be a national, an executive bill or some sort of bill sponsored by maybe a member of the House or Senate, will it also be argument back and forth until Nigerians are tired and burnt out and then move on and the normal just continues?
You see one thing about everybody has his way of handling situation.
Right.
Sometimes you see when some senators are talking, they talk emotionally, even crying. Because he's feeling, because he's been sent by his constituency. What will you go back? Somebody like Idumen, and you see anytime he's talking hardly. And they hit him hardly. By talking hardly and coming hardly, there must be solution hardly. Because what we are trying to say that, like what you are saying, there's no person that we said is supporting insecurity. But it is the way we are taking it. And that's why I say we have crawled enough. Action must be taken.
Right.
Once this thing is being implemented, I think let us take it off and practice and come back with the result within 6 months and see what have we achieved. I can tell you, I know some experts, they can tell you the analysis of what is happening this month, next month, I will see improvement on it. If we are seeing improvement, what do we need to do more? If we are not seeing improvement, what do we need that we have done that we have not done? Like the movement of the service chief to Maiduguri, it helps. Because they can see things on ground, and the boys too, they can talk to them as we are talking, not on phone. Directly the boss will ask you, everybody now, that's true. Let's see what's your problem. Some people say, when I want to do this, my Oga say don't do this. Oga say, what do you say? You tell him, okay, now do it. So power is given to him. You see the way they will heal themselves. So when things are done the correct way and given the power, given the constitutional right, and being compensated and appreciated, I think we shall move, sir.
All right. Well, it happens this is where we are going to leave this conversation today. But I would like to say a big thank you to you, Otumba Bolaji Adigun, who is the Deputy Chief of Staff and Zone 7 Chairman at the Police Community Relations Committee, for sharing very valuable thoughts with us this morning. We are grateful.
Thank you so much, sir.
I'm grateful.
For being a part of the
I'm
program.
from Blue TV. God bless the house.
Of course, and the country indeed. We're taking a break, everyone. So much to come on the show. Please do stay with us. Up with Global Morning, your daily guide to what's happening and making the rounds.
We delve into headlines, newspaper reviews, spot-on analysis, policies, current events, real talk, real issues that affect us all.
From the latest trends to the debate, every topic, every angle, Global Morning is where it all starts.
Global Morning,
For the latest issues,
always on point.
Watch Global Morning Monday to Friday at 7 a.m. Saturday and Sunday at 8 a.m. on Global Television. At Aerogym Shoe Factory, excellence starts from the ground up. Located at number 1 Pound Road behind Nigeria Correctional Service, Aba, Abia State. We produce 1,500 high-quality shoes every single day. Paramilitary shoes, safety boots, desert boots, ankle shoes, back-to-school footwear. All crafted with state-of-the-art equipment and built for strength, comfort, and durability. For reliable footwear that stands the test of time, choose Aerogym Shoes for better product, strong steps, smart style. For inquiries, call 091-264-53399 or 070-3009-3944 or 080-6573-8374 or call 081-3167-3668. Email info@aerogym.com. Website www.aerogymdesign.com. Aerogym. Walk with confidence. Walk with pride.
The issue of insecurity is quite multi-layered, really. But then again, Tumba Bolaji Adigun this morning has been able to help us lift one of those layers, which has to do with local policing. Again, an essential part of security architecture overall as we know it. When we say security is everybody's business, apparently that's what it means, because in the final analysis is about people. And not everybody must be uniformed or armed to be part of it. But like highlighted, we need structures to drive these things. Otherwise, it will become a free-for-all. And once that becomes the case, it will be more like 2 steps forward and 5 steps backward.
I completely agree. And I like the fact security is everybody's business. Everyone should be involved. It's very important that state policing, we understand that it's a combination of you and I,
Right.
getting that rightful intelligence, gathering information to the right channel. It's very important we all stay guided. And he mentioned something very vital. He said, if in various states your boundary is actually curbed with individuals, know that okay, there's activity in a certain place. I know this person who buys goods worth of 10,000 naira. The next thing you know, you're buying goods of 500,000 naira. It's for me to take a back and know that something is not right here. This person doesn't have that kind of money, or even if he does, where is he taking this worth of protein to, or where is he taking it to? Is it good? And you come the next day or 2 days later and you're wondering. So it's a way of showing concern, especially for your community, and knowing that just to activities that doesn't sit right with individuals. But I think state policing is the right way to go about issue of insecurity in our country, because it helps you to watch your own boundary where you're from, so that there will not be an escalation of criminality, and you actually know the right channel to report to, which is very important.
Right.
I think it's a way with that step by step. Let's give it 6 months to see how far this will go. Let's give it a particular time frame to see how much work has been put into it. And he said someone who sells big can be involved. Everyone should be. Finally, it's important that we put that into consideration, because it's not everyone who has passion to do volunteer work or work without pay, even if it's something small. I think when people get that and understand the power invested in you, people will want to give their all, knowing that it's for the benefit of individuals in that particular community. People want to do it.
Very, very important, because what I would like you to note, in the end, it has to be about manpower too.
Yes.
You've got to have the number of people, but then again, that must be the right, for instance, as I say, a square peg in square hole, round peg in round hole. We need to have all of that. And then vetting and double vetting, very important, so you don't bring people into the system only to realize that you had brought the wrong hands, and then you now make a bad situation worse at the end of the day. I think that's something we need to look at. And then we have to be futuristic as well. It shouldn't be something that politicians, especially as it has to do with this administration, just want to put together, then the next thing you know, they strap things up, they leave office, the next government comes and says, no, you guys didn't get it right. In fact, you created a mess, you bungled the whole process and what have you, and then we start from scratch, money gone. We saw that with the National ID Card project.
Yes, we did.
After the Obasanjo days, we have had to go through that cycle maybe up to 3 times.
Yes.
Millions and hundreds of billions gone into the drain. Nobody's held accountable. Nigerians are not getting value for taxpayers' monies. I mean, we need to take a second look at that. We need to now start saying public finance, like Jumai's money, like Uyi's money, so we know exactly that we are putting our money where our mouth is. Because if you want people to really get the job done, there must be commensurate value, at least some substantial value they are getting in return. You really cannot pay people for the work they do, especially for those who do the work genuinely. They do it with, with their heart, as it were. You can't pay them. You can only appreciate them. You can only give them something symbolic to say that I appreciate the effort that you put in, right? The value that you bring. However, like I said, this must be something that is thought out for the longer term, in such a way that it doesn't just revolve around when Jumai was in office, after she left. No, it should be something that gets better with every government that comes into place, because it's not about a political party per time, it's about Nigerians and the work it must do. And then finally, we should also see that sort of interagency collaboration, because one of the sentiments that has been expressed by a good number of people is to say that the police might feel this is more like an affront, more like a competition for them. We saw that sort of element play out in the early days of the NSCDC, for example, again under Obasanjo. Well, Obasanjo is featuring a lot on this program. This one, it's just to mention, milestones really. All of those, points at which we had a turnaround in some areas of our national life. So we must ensure that the police find a way to be comfortable with this idea and then work with them in such a way that we can look back after a year, 2, 3, 4, 5, and say that we have moved past where we used to be in a manner that is better in terms of how we fight insecurity in such a way that we can even look over our shoulder after 3 to 5 years and say, look, we should have done this much earlier, given the difference that it's making for the better.
I think you have just said it. You have hit the nail on the head. Very important. And if you look at it, this is a way of doing things differently now. You know, I sat back and I said to myself, insecurity has been with us for about 16 to 17 years, and we've not thought of state policing back then when you look at the hierarchy and now that we are. And this is a way of doing things differently. But at the same time, for as much as we're going to do things differently by involving individuals in that particular community, that's the grassroots now. I think it's very important that we give a time frame to see whether there is improvement, to see whether there is headway, to see whether a lot has been done to curb this particular issue in our society. You know, I've always mentioned on the program, I have said, once we solve the problem of insecurity, that is the top list. Every other thing is going to be seamless, because insecurity has to do with lives. If people are unalive, how will the system even work? Because you need people to actually make the system work. And if kidnappings are happening on the daily, abductions are happening on the daily, killings are happening on the daily, people are not safe to move from one point to another point, from one village to another with the fear of being kidnapped, the farms are being invaded, it's a serious problem. So I think for me, I've always said it's better once you have individuals being involved, because security is our business. It takes you and I to actually try as much as possible to nip it in the bud in our own community. So this will thrive if the right things are put in place, checkmates are put in place. Everyone understands that this is terms of reference. No one should breach that. There is a channel, a particular channel when it comes to information. There's a channel, there's a way of it. Everyone understands that TOR, you understand your terms of reference. Even as an individual who is into state policing, you understand that your power starts here and it stops here. Do not, try as much as possible to breach that. Or I think it's very important that we understand channels. It's very important that we understand that we should have a particular frame tagged on it to know whether this is actually the right step. For me, it's something different, something new, which, intelligence gathering has always been there. Whistleblowers have always been there. It's just a different thing of saying state policing, because it involves you and I in that particular community. So for me, it goes a long way. And I think if done right, monitored, done right equipment, right channels, understanding where your terms of reference lies, it will yield results.
I'm old enough to know that we have had times in this country when vigilante system did work.
Yes.
All right.
It did.
Those were days before you started having this proliferation of estates across the country.
True.
All right. On a particular street where you have, say, 28 houses, the landlords understood that we could split these houses into 3 groups. So each group takes a day or 2 every week to stand guard. All right. So I know, for example, I'm a team lead, or I'm a leader of a group. All right. So my group and I will take charge tonight, be Thursday, and tomorrow Friday. Your group for Saturday and Sunday. The other guy's group for Monday and Tuesday. So we have that sort of schedule, and it just cycles like that. These guys were not armed, unless on a few occasions where some of them had licensed barrel. I mean fully licensed, in such a way that every other year the government could say, churning the guns again, let's do due diligence and all of that. Like I said, licensed barrels. These were elderly men, these were fathers, in some cases grandfathers. They had licensed barrels.
Yes.
Right? I'm saying that to say that nothing really has changed. Yes, we have had increase, or if you like, improvement in tech, but the thinking is still there. What is largely lacking is the willpower, is the sincerity of purpose. Once we get those 2 elements back on the table, the sky will be our launch pad.
I like when you said the sky will be our launch pad. You're so funny. But at the same time, it takes someone who is passionate, who understands what this whole thing is all about.
Right.
Otumba said something. He said he has been a PCR member for almost 24 years.
No, he said 27.
27 years, thank you. And he has not been paid. And you can see when he speaks, he's very passionate. He says that he understands that traffic laws need to be obeyed. People can call him and say, Otumba, there are robbers here, please, how do I go about? Because he is passionate, he understands. it takes a lot, because I think for you to bring in individuals to understand what state policing is all about, orientation is it's key. You must understand why this is important, and you should have, if not so much passion, just a little bit in order for it to thrive. It's very important. I think we should know that, and then we'll understand what it means and what it entails and what it's going to bring in the long run.
I think there's a lot of efforts being coordinated at the same time. Just on a final note, we understand, of course, President Bola Tinubu a few months ago had given a directive that 50,000 men be recruited into the police. I think they are going to do that in tranches. But ultimately, the number stands at 50,000, which is a lot. You understand the similar directive had been given to the armed forces as well. And then now we're talking about the state policing system. So with all of these efforts synergized in the final analysis, we should be in a far better place winning the war against insecurity.
Yes, hopefully. And I think, for me, that's a step in the right direction. 50,000 is a lot, and I'm sure it will do much. It will do much more, because in the police sector, you need all the hands. We need all hands on deck in order to fight insecurity, and hopefully that is the right step in the right direction. It will go a long way.
Right. Well, that's how we take a break. When we return, it will be time for what I call our victory lap, where we draw the curtains on the program. To stay with us. Up with Global Morning, your daily guide to what's happening and making the rounds.
We delve into headlines, newspaper reviews, spot-on analysis, policies, current events, real talk, real issues that affect us all.
From the latest trends to the debate, every topic, every angle, Global Morning is where it all starts.
Global Morning,
For the latest issues,
always on point.
Watch Global Morning Monday to Friday at 7 a.m. Saturday and Sunday at 8 a.m. on Global Television.
In an age of breaking news, you need a trusted source that prioritizes accurate, factual, and unbiased reporting. This is AM News, and I am Ubong Usoro.
On Global Television, our news is rooted in verified and authoritative storytelling that keeps you educated, informed, and enlightened on all the issues that matter to you. I am Sadia Yakubu. This is Midday News.
You can trust our multi-platform news broadcast real-time and fast-check stories for all the big local and foreign headlines round the clock. I am Ramsey Enoch Agbo. This is News Express.
Our array of anchors delivers the news to our teeming viewers, breaking it down with context and perspective. This is News Cycle on Global Television. I am Anieti Patrick.
And the flagship news is your hub for the day's most engaging stories. This is News Prime, and I am Jumai Manson.
Did you miss any of our news rounds? No worries. Catch up at 10 p.m. and midnight, 7 days of the week. I am Mukhtar Kasim.
Global TV is on DSTV channel 365 and Star Times channel 276. We're active across all social media platforms at Global TV NG.
Global TV News, accurate and unbiased. I'm Uyi Agmofwebe.
Well, thank you so very much for staying with us, everyone. Let's wrap it up this morning by looking at the state of Nigeria's oil and gas industry, which basically is the front and center, for want of better words, of our economy as a people. Like this morning, we're joined by Dr. Timothy Okon. He is an industry expert, a man whose name resonates so much, especially when you take a look back at the days, the formative years, I should say, of what later would become the petroleum industry bill, PIB. Dr. Okon, would like to say a big thank you to you for making our time to be with us this morning.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you for being here.
All right, great. We're just going to make the most of the, say, 7 or so minutes that we have this morning on the program. But help us understand what exactly we're dealing with regarding the petroleum industry today. There's some context to it. Former President Olusegun Obasanjo, a man whose government many believe redefined the industry in this country between 1999 and 2007, has said that Nigeria's refineries will never work. That seems like he's putting paid to the impossibility of those refineries ever being up and running again. As an expert, what are your thoughts?
Well, I think the first thing to note is that he's describing the past and the configuration, the structures that that created the refineries and the way in which it's been managed. If those refineries are in the private sector hands, then that the management structure will obviously change. It will be optimized, and I think that the reason why he probably has alluded to that possibility, that is of them never working, is that our government institutions are too used to hogging assets. You know what that means. You know, it's not functioning. I'll use an example of the railways or the airlines, land industry. So it's not unique. It's just the approach. Seeing assets as things you keep, you know, you lock it down somewhere, rather than the asset being in productive use.
Right.
So the key word really is making sure that those assets are in productive use, and as presently constituted, the incentives in the national oil company will not support that. And so you really need to put it in private hands where of course, the monthly performance is assessed, okay, and if there is no money coming in, then of course, what are you doing? the staff obviously will not be paid. But here you have guarantees of payments and things like that. So it's just the structure of that industry. And I think the second reason why he alluded to that is that Dangote is in a very expansive mood. So if he achieves the 1.4 million barrels a day refinery ownership within the borders of Nigeria, then you accept the refineries become export-oriented, then of course the prospects of those refineries being turned around and investment coming in will be dim indeed. So I think that's an issue, but it's not beyond the pale. I think the key issues there are just what is the structure that can deliver value to the investor, because I think even the GCEO has already indicated that in the current form, those refineries cannot work, because first NNPC does not have the investments to turn it around. And when we wrote the PIA, okay, there were assurances of job security, etc. So that structure remains in the law, and except there is a change in some of the statutes, etc., then you're going to have those refineries continue to be run in the way they are. But clearly, I think action will be taken, and it remains to be seen whether that will be done this year or next year. But the window is really closing for reviving the refineries under the current system, because I think you would have to have investors who are ready and willing, but not under this current structure. They would, when they take it over, they probably want to hand over the staff that are currently there to the National Oil Company. So you have to create a structure, for being able to get the refineries up and going again.
So if there is a structure, everything put in place, not you just said a year or two, that means there is hope that it could be up and running.
Well, yes, there is, but I'm saying the window is closing.
Okay.
It's closing. If you have a capacity in Nigeria of 1.4 million barrels, it's in excess of what we need, especially in terms of some of the products that will be produced. So that's why Dangote is pursuing the Southern Africa route. It's getting capacity, some of the storage systems in Namibia, so that he can actually
warehouse these products.
That's right. Yeah, and once that is available, then Namibia might not want to build a refinery, because it's recently been new discoveries, etc. And if Namibia can get its supplies, I doubt whether it might be desirous of doing refining, because it's a small country.
I'm afraid, Doc, that time is not our friend on the program, but I would like to say a big thank you to you for helping us to straighten this out this morning. We hope in the near future we're able to engage you once again on this front. Thank you so very much.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Great. All right, that's Dr. Timothy Okon. He's the Managing Partner and Chief Executive Officer at Tenor Energy Resources. Incidentally, that's all for the program today. Thank you, and here's a reminder that the views of our guests across all of our programs are their opinions. I am Uyi Agmofwewe.
And I am Jumai Manson. Thank you once again to our guest, Dr. Okon. Thank you for being a part of the program. Have an amazing day ahead. And from Uyi and I, we say bye-bye.